Lori's here. Cal?
Here.
Hello.
Hello.
We are live on YouTube as well.
Okay. Well, welcome all those who are on YouTube. I think we're going to be starting here in about 2 minutes.
Terry is connected.
Hello.
Hi, Terry.
Hello again. This crowd's a lot of laughs.
Yes.
Am I showing a video? My picture?
No.
What do I have to do about, no, I don't care, but what do I have to do about that? And why not?
Do you want to show a video?
Sure, why not? I
Of
don't have a,
what?
I don't have a cool dog.
You do
Hey,
have
does
a cool
I have,
dog.
I have two nice dogs, but they're not cool like that one.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Do you know I've picked up a new hobby. I paint dogs and cats on rocks. You didn't know that? So I'm making some side money. People are sending me pictures of their dog, and then I'm painting them on rocks. You think I'm kidding?
No, we don't think you're kidding. I hope you're reporting that as taxable income.
Well, I was asking accountants about that. Like, is there a minimum amount you can make and not report?
$600.
Hey guys, we're on YouTube right now. So if you want tax advice, I would suggest not doing it right now on YouTube.
Oh my God, Cal.
All right, did anybody, there's Brian Kaplan.
I think we're ready.
We are ready. So we will begin. We are on YouTube, correct?
Yes.
We're broadcasting. Okay. The workshop meeting of the Park District of Highland Park is called to order on Tuesday, August 11, 2020 at 6:00 p.m. Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein,
Here.
Commissioner Grossberg,
I'm here.
Commissioner Flor Swicekoff,
Here.
Vice President Kaplan,
It's always somebody.
Did we lose him?
He's trying to unmute it. Sometimes it's a little tricky. That's my guess.
Well, we can continue. Oh,
President.
there he is. Brian, we see your picture.
Uh,
All right, Brian, are
President
you?
Ruttenberg,
I am here. We have the roll call completed. Are there any additions to the agenda from any of the commissioners or from the executive director?
None for mine.
Anybody once, twice, sold? Brian, has anyone from the public submitted any emails to be read aloud for public comment?
No.
Thank you. So I guess we will proceed along to Sunset Valley Golf Club Youth Golf Development and Short Game Area Project Update. Hi, Cal.
Manager Ryan Oaks.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to attempt to share my screen real quick. So I want to see if this works. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. Go. All right. So we, just a brief update. We started this project on July 6th. And this was the original concept drawing from Rick Jacobson that he gave to us. This is the old, the land where the Parks building used to sit and was demolished in 2018 once we did the construction of Pogo. After that was finished, they leveled this off and then reseeded this. And now we're constructing the new short game on this site. This is kind of just a picture of the earthwork being moved. Here's some fine detailing of the bunker being shaped. 2 bunkers are going to be put in or were put in for the short game area. These asphalt pads, we have 6 asphalt pads around the short game area. These will be, these were put in for synthetic turf. So we're going to have synthetic turf be installed over the top of these. This will be help us give youth instruction on those mats, or we can have golfers hit off of them to give the turf a break during the summer months so we don't get too many divots on the playing surface. Here it is. A couple weeks ago, we installed sod around the perimeter of the short game area. And then the liner was put in the bunker. The greens mix was put in the green. Here's just some fine shaping and getting ready to seed the area. This was August 1st, I believe, last week. Or not August 3rd, excuse me. Here's the hydro mulch going down after we seeded the area. The hydro mulch was put down. This helps for erosion control. And then this is the finished site. Everything's seeded, everything's hydro mulch. And then this was August 3rd. And then on Sunday, we had germination. So about 5 days post-seeding, almost 100% coverage on the green and the fairway. You can't really tell on the fairway grass at the bottom of the picture, but there is seedling there. And in this one, you can really, I had a little bit close up picture. The bent grass is coming through the hydro mulch. So it took the storm, especially last night, that came through. We didn't have any washouts. Any questions before I continue of the pictures?
Was there going to be a water feature there?
Well, let me go back to this one. So there's a lot of buckthorn right along the lake. And this winter, I'm going to have the golf maintenance staff clear out some of that buckthorn so you can kind of see the lake that's more visible. Right there.
Okay.
Ryan, what are you going to do to provide a screen or a barrier between the back of the green and the first fairway?
As of right now, we're hoping that the trees, let me go back. Hold on. So we have these 6 honey locust trees right here. We're hoping those will act as a barrier right now. But if that's not the case and we need to put some type of netting up, we'll have to figure that out once we get, once we start using the site and see what works, what doesn't work.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So I know the idea was we're not going to have anybody hitting off of this thing till next spring, right?
Yes.
Have any of our benefactors seen the progress on this?
Well, Wadsworth has been out there. They did the project and they were our benefactor for the grant money that we received. And then Joel was out there, Hirsch was out there for the North Shore Am. So he was able to take a look at it.
Great.
And then just to go over financials, we're still right in line with everything that we expected. We're hopeful to do a golf outing in the spring of 2021 to raise additional funds that we may need for the walk path that we need to still install. The plan is to go out to bid for the walk, the brick paver pathway in the fall of 2020, and then do the installation of the pathway in spring of 2021, and then open to the public in late spring of 2021. So far everything's on schedule, looking great. We've had tremendous weather. The weather has been absolutely fantastic for construction and growing. So hopefully we'll be mowing the site in a few weeks by September 1st.
Have we been in contact? Has there been any kind of work together with the foundation on this project after it started?
So the only thing that we've done up to this point is we had the groundbreaking where we did just a quick photo op. Bob Bernstein, president of the foundation, was there, and we had a nice article in the paper regarding the groundbreaking and the foundation's funding of this project.
Okay. So I suggest that we have a lot of coordination there for some of the things that we can help out with. I mean the foundation.
Yeah. And obviously the big grand opening will be in the spring, and that will be the foundation's golf outing and grand opening event. So that'll be exciting, and that'll be obviously coordinated with the foundation.
Ryan, I'm sorry, Ryan, is the intention to sell bricks for the brick paver with people's names on it? Would that be the way they can make a donation to this?
Yes, you're exactly right.
And do we have a suggested price per brick?
Yes, we do. It is $200 per brick.
Okay.
And if you play, if you're gonna play in the golf outing, you're gonna get a brick to be installed on the pathway. It's kind of an incentive to.
And there are larger packages as well, I believe. There's a $5,000 donation package, and all that stuff is on the foundation.
Yes.
Could you go back to the page with the numbers on it?
Yes.
The donations of $129,000, is it appropriate to say who the largest donor has been and give the person credit?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
go ahead, Brian.
yeah. So that's Joel Hirsch, who we've been working with for the past few years. He's a local amateur Hall of Famer, and he was also instrumental in some of the talking points for the renovation of Sunset Valley Golf Club as well. And we will have some discussions later on about naming, because I know he wants to be involved with that process.
That was a question I was going to ask. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Ryan, is there anything else you want to tell us?
No, just very excited and looking forward to getting this completed.
Well, thank you. Good job.
Yeah, this is a very exciting project. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you. I'm going to stop share now.
Thanks, Ryan.
Now we'll move on to the Preserve of Highland Park pre-construction update. Manager Grill to present.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to be with you tonight, and really nice to have some exciting updates for you, even from the time of the board memo that we sent out. So the OSLAD grant agreement has been received as of this Monday. So we are really excited about that. We are able now to move forward with our bidding process. and are pulling together our bid documents for legal notice on August 18th, next Tuesday, so 8/18. Nice lucky number there. We'll be bringing that to you for approval on September 22nd at the regular board meeting in September, and then be able to start construction on October 1st. The bid documents, as I said, are nearly ready, and we have included some alternates. In the event that we get favorable bids, then we are able to take advantage of that and perhaps do some additional path work that'll enhance the project. So we will use those as alternates and see how they come out for us. Permitting is also moving along. We got our review from the Stormwater Management Commission, which is our main agency that is reviewing this project, and there were only minor comments, so we don't see any issues with successfully getting our final permit from them, as well as from the city having deferred the watershed review to SMC. Finally, I would say that we are going to be coming at the regular meeting with a construction phase services proposal for approval from Hay & Associates. This now takes us into our construction work with engineering support and review of some of the more technical aspects of the project, like the overview with the gateway path and also the pier that goes on to the North Pond. We've set that proposal up so that there's a completely discretionary on our side on-call services, so that if we decide that we have additional needs for engineering review or support, we have a budget, an estimate for that, and we can trigger that time if we have the favorable bid results again. So that would be particularly for the IEPA shoreline project, which is part of this project. As far as our long-term schedule, I would say that we have been delayed a little bit, as we said, waiting for IDNR to sign these documents. So I believe we had mentioned that we'd be looking at more of a fall of 2021 finish time. And I think that it'll be along those lines, although it perhaps would slide back down to the end of that year. But I think we're still in pretty good shape, and we'll all hope for equally good weather coming up in October, but that is my report.
That's great. Let's see if there's any questions, starting with Cal Bernstein.
Yes, Rebecca, it's very exciting and the project looks great. I just have one question. I know that we've talked about this in the past. With regard to the cart paths, which are now going to be the paths, and the bridges, I know that there's some issues with the ADA accessibility because of unevenness and things like that. Is there any plans to try to improve that?
Right, that's what I mentioned in the way of those alternates. So we, primarily Jeff and Dan, went out and analyzed those areas. We looked at the bridge area that you were concerned about. And so those are part of the alternate package so that we can get pricing on that and address them if we're.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Terry?
So I heard you say that, something about the fall. I wasn't sure if you used the word complete, because I'm not sure that that's, so what is your vision? What if I go out there a year from now, what am I seeing?
Sure, I think that we're hoping that we're able to do some work even this fall. And then as we get into solid ground, if we don't have snow, we'd be able to continue some of the work. But primarily, I would say once we get drier weather in spring of 2021, that's when the majority of the work will take place. By the time we reach fall of 2021, I would envision that the amenities would be in place, the shoreline work, the grading would be done. We'd be looking at things like whether or not we were able to get availability on certain plants, proper timing for plants to be put in the ground. So those kinds of things might be finishing up toward the end of fall, that might put us into October. But our hope is that we have the project that we wanted to deliver.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lori,
No, I don't have anything. It just sounds very exciting.
Thanks,
Brian.
Lori.
Brian,
Yes, I want to follow up on something Cal said, because I'm out there walking it twice a week now. And it's not just the paths are uneven. There's weeds coming up every 5 feet on the paths, which makes some of it unwalkable or not safe to walk, ADA or not. Do we have any plans to pave, because I know if you weed it, you cut them, they'll just grow right back.
Yeah.
Are we going to pave
There-
over the paths?
In the plans that we have, there are a substantial number of paths that are being either repaired, built new, and some of them are just being taken away. Some of the ones possibly that are in the worst condition are going to be removed. The additional paths we talked about already would take us a little bit further along that road. And then I didn't mention this alternative on our bid documents, but we are just asking for a linear foot cost to do pathway construction. And again, once we see what the bid documents look like, perhaps we would be able to identify additional areas that would be for repair.
As you know, I text you, I think it's spectacular out there.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's just, some of the pathways are untravelable.
And you have to understand also, we opened the park up for people to walk, but at that time we weren't fully staffed for maintenance. So when this park is opened, that would allow us to have a little bit more help in regards to things like weeding of paths. But we're doing the best we can.
No, I know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's great.
Are you in the background?
Pardon me?
Are you in the background picture?
I was 1 year old.
He might be in the background then, we don't know.
Oh, you were not 1 year old in 1969, I can tell you that.
So
And yes, I'm in the picture.
So I have a very one question. You spent a long time working on this and you've come to live and love the project the way we do. Is there anything that you've started putting into a wish list?
We do have a short wish list right now. We expect to own this property for a long time. And I'm sure that as we use it and see how it is used, there will be other things that arise. So I guess the short answer is yes, there is a list down the road.
And you'll share that with us when we get the bids back, I think.
President Ruttenberg, if I may step in for a second.
Of course.
And again, like I mentioned with the putting and chipping area, partnership with the foundation, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but again, it's another opportunity for them to get involved, them to be partners with us. So anything you think of that the foundation can help with, they would be eager to be partners in that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know we had some initial discussions in what seems like a long time ago, and we'll continue to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Great. No other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So Moraine Park Path Improvement Update. I believe that's next, unless I skipped something. Director Smith. You're still muted.
Thank you. I just figured that out. Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen in just a moment, but before I do, just want to talk a little bit about tonight's presentation. We're providing an update to the board on the Moraine Park Path Improvement Project. So as everyone I'm sure recalls, the path at Moraine Park that leads down to the district's dog beach closed last spring after record-setting heavy rainfall caused sections of the path to fail. Since that time, staff have worked with several agencies, including the Army Corps of Engineers, the City of Highland Park, also worked with an engineering firm and talked to several contractors to understand what we could do we did quickly learn that there wasn't really a quick fix to this, a temporary fix. So it's been closed for some time, but staff did hire an engineering firm, Daniel Craney Company, to develop a preliminary site improvement plan for the project. So we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, to provide an overall update on the project, and also talk about the next steps if the board chooses to move forward with the project. And part of that is a proposal that we've received from the engineering firm we're working with. So we'll talk about that proposal tonight, but just to clarify, we're not asking for approval this evening. We're just providing the update. And it's likely that we'll come in a future meeting to request proposal approval. And I'm going to get started with the presentation, but I will quickly introduce Bob Hansen with Daniel Craney Company, who's joining us tonight and will speak during part of the presentation. So with that said, can everyone see my presentation?
Yep.
All right, great. So this is a photo of Moraine Park. This photo here shows a good representation of what the path looked like prior to its failure. So this path is a flagstone path, and you can see on the right-hand side of the photo there are sections of retaining wall up against the bluff. And so here's the overall park. So I want to just kind of orient everyone to the site. So over to the left, you see Sheridan Road. The bottom left is the main parking lot. And then there's the path that runs from the parking lot all the way to Lake Michigan. And you can see that right here. Now, if you're familiar with this site, right after you pass the restroom building, the first thing you come to are these wooden stairs that take you down into the ravine. Just at the end of the wooden stairs is this concrete bridge that crosses the ravine. And then it kind of officially starts the path down. I want to point out one other feature of the path right here in green is a set of stone steps. So you'll notice that there's quite a bit going on. You've got some wooden stairs, you've got the stone steps, you've got the flagstone path and the concrete bridge. Now the section of path that we're looking at is between here and here. So one of the failures occurred right in this portion, right at the base of the bridge before the stone steps, where the trail kind of collapsed there. And then we also have two smaller failures here. And then the largest failure, really the most dangerous portion is right here. The remainder of the path is intact. And as I said, this failure occurred last year. And since that time, one of these areas has worsened, but no new areas have appeared. Everything else seems to be holding very, very well. So as I mentioned, we hired Daniel Craney Company to develop this preliminary site improvement plan to essentially bring us to a concept for how we could improve this path and reopen it. So I just want to briefly review the work that they conducted. So that included a topographic survey of the site, looking at construction access. That's really tricky here. It'd be very difficult to come down the stairs and across the bridge. So they have to come down into the ravine a little more creative way. So they explored that and also conducted geotechnical and structural assessments. And finally developed multiple repair concepts. Now, we worked with them to look at these different repair concepts for the trail and come to the conclusion that there was one particular concept that they were proposing that really what makes sense. And that also evolved from the geotechnical and structural assessments and determining what would really work there and what the cause of the issue is right now. So the proposed plan does more than just address the path. It addresses three components because we know the site as a whole, it's not just the path that's the issue. So the proposed plan is going to address the path repair itself so we can make it passable. But it's also looking at the drainage that comes from the bluff. We get a lot of water that rolls down here, and that can cause a lot of challenges. And then lastly, down at the toe of the ravine are the steel walls, and these play a really important role, but certainly need some improvement. Now, I will say before I hand it over to Bob Hansen to talk about this plan that they developed, I do want to say that There are portions of the path where we're going to be doing repairs like this one right here. In doing this work, the proposed solution we have would involve removing this flagstone in these sections of wall. And I bring that up because I want to say that I know everyone's aware that there are, near the bridge, there is a very old kind of historic little bridge and a little path that's not really accessible, but you can see it. Any of that stonework is not being touched or affected in any way during this project. It's only these path areas here. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Bob Hanson to talk a little more about what they did, and we'll start with the path repair.
Jeff, I have a quick question before we get to Bob. Sure. So this flagstone area that you're showing right now and the stone, did the Park District install that, or was that remnants from the hotel?
So my understanding, the Park District did not install that. My understanding is that was in place when we purchased the property. However, I believe the remnants from the hotel, the original ones, were the small bridge and the other path I had referred to, and not these. We have reached out to the city to confirm that there isn't any historic designation for this section.
Yeah, that's my next question.
Yes.
Do we know who the landscape architect or the architect for this was? I mean, whether this is Jen Jensen or some other famous architect?
You know, I couldn't tell you that at this time, but I can certainly get back to you with that. But like I said, we did reach out to the city and confirm that this does not have any historic designation.
Okay, I mean, that'd be great if we just get a little history on that too.
Sure.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. All right, Bob, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So I'm going to hand it over to you, and I will click through the slides as you need.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. As Jeff mentioned, we took several steps along the way to come up with these different options of how we might want to repair the path. I'll apologize in advance for these sketchy drawings. I didn't know they were going to be presented at any time, but so this first one you're looking at here, we were basically going to rebuild the walls on each side of the path where they had come apart, and completely remove the stone path and recompact it and replace it. Part of the reason all this is happening is because of the drainage of the water coming down the side slope of the ravine. So we added a drain tile behind that first wall, on the upside, with hopes that, that would help us. We would drain that to the bottom. And as we looked at it more, we thought, well, this is what's there now, so it's probably going to fail again. So if you want to go to the next slide, Jeff.
There you go.
So then what we decided is, it seemed to fail more on the downstream side of the path. So we thought we might introduce some gabion baskets, which are, metal baskets that would be filled with stone. And those would create a real toe for that, for that path to sit on. Not sure if it would be acceptable looking or not, but we also had considered, bringing the water down through a pipe, having another drain tile behind that wall. So as we got further into this and talked with our structural engineer and did some of that analysis, we decided that we're going to need a lot more help on the upstream side where that slope is, other than just adding a drain tile. So if you flip to the next one. So this one, what we did is we really beefed it up. We put 2 gabion baskets double stacked on the backside of the path so that we could really support that, try to support that slope so that it wouldn't over years start to overturn, create more problems. And we still had the base of the path on the, the downstream side. We still had a 2x2 gabion basket there. So this was kind of where we had been headed with this. And after we talked to our structural engineer and he did some calculations and we kicked it around a while, he didn't feel that, putting gabion baskets was going to be sturdy enough considering the amount of water that's coming down and the slope that's coming with that water. So after we decided, he would say, well, the only thing we could really do is probably put a concrete retaining wall where the baskets are. Now, keep in mind that the construction of all those three would involve, some heavy duty equipment to get all the stone there and fill these baskets up and so on and so forth. So the last one, option D, we thought, hey, we could get rid of the walls and the path altogether, and we could build a boardwalk through the areas that need to be repaired. And with a little bit of regrading, we could direct the water to flow underneath that boardwalk, support the boardwalk with soldier piles and helical anchors in different areas. And we think this would be give us the most longevity to repairing the path.
Anyone have any questions about these different options and this last option that we're recommending before we move on?
Let's just go around. Cal,
No questions.
Terry,
I do have a couple. How many foot, I guess, how long a section are we talking about? And if it's possible to go back to the image you were showing, Jeff, and kind of explain where this is and what you're talking about while we're looking at that image. Is that possible?
You know what? It's actually a few slides forward. You're going to see that we're going to show that image again and where the boardwalk is proposed.
Okay, perfect.
Lori,
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Brian.
No questions, thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll pass.
All
Move
right,
on.
and
Yeah.
here's just a couple representative images of what the boardwalk potentially could look like. So Bob, I'll hand it back over to you. The next section here, oh, actually here it is, Terry. I'll speak about this real quick and then I'll hand it back over to you, Bob. So here's the image again, and the red areas are the sections of failure. So the proposed sections for the boardwalk are here between these brackets and here. So it's about half of the trail past the bridge would have the boardwalk. So you'd have boardwalk, then you have the existing stone steps, then a section of boardwalk, and then the remainder of the path, like I said, is completely intact here.
Jeff, is that similar to the boardwalk is on the south side of Lake Cook Road by Botanic Gardens and the Forest Preserve? It looks like a bike path or something like that.
Yeah, I would say so. That's a larger boardwalk. We're proposing a 5-foot boardwalk width here with a railing on the downslope side.
But it's a similar type of concept.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. And how do you do that? What do you do with the wall that's on the south side of that? Then how's the boardwalk laid out so that the wall stays, but the water now is running under it? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. So you would, right now the proposal would be to likely have a handrail on the steeper side, on the side that goes down toward the ravine, and the other side you would just have the slope.
Got it.
You would have, I'm sorry, you'd have the slope, but you would take out the stone wall.
Yes, yeah, we would, because we understand that's part of what's causing some of the issue here. And if you were on the site, you could see much better in the areas where there's failure. That stone wall significantly separated from the bluff. There's a good 8-10 inches that it's actually separated from, because the water is essentially pushing it away.
Well, that's definitely going back to the question that Cal raised about the historic nature of what's there. And obviously, are we prepared to change the character of the walk from something that's, very natural almost to an institutionalized boardwalk? And I understand the repair questions, but I just wanted to keep that in everyone's mind.
And to speak to that, certainly one option would be to take the entire path and to turn it into boardwalk. Now, on one hand, that would certainly be expensive, probably twice as expensive. But secondly, we did want to keep as much of that historic kind of feel and that character and nature of the site, which is why we're not proposing to remove or change any of the rest of the path that is intact.
Would the proposal include repair of the stone wall along the path as it exists now? Except for these areas, Jeff.
No, we're going to talk about, there's some drainage improvements we're looking to put in. We'll get to that in a moment. at the top of the bluff, and that to some degree will address some of that.
Okay. Thank you.
So here, the perfect segue. So Bob, I'm going to hand it over to you again.
Okay, this photograph kind of gives you an idea of how the amount of water that comes down that side slope and how it just erodes, erodes the side slope as it comes down. So there's much of this happening all along that area. It's a little harder to see.
But doesn't that also let people who are interested in going up to the top get the full value of this area as opposed to just walking along the boardwalk? I mean, this does provide a pathway.
It's a rather steep slope. I don't think anybody would use it as a path.
I've done it. I know people that do it. I mean, we have a great area here that we're not utilizing because we haven't provided any pathways, and nature has provided some pathways.
You are correct. There are certainly a couple of kind of worn areas that people can use to get up there. The purpose of that previous photo was just to kind of give a quick understanding of where we are certainly having water rushing through. It was difficult to see in there, but there are times where you can see the water rushing through, and then you can see the failure right at the base of the trail. So that was the purpose of that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So Bob, I'm going to go here. This is to talk about the drainage that we're thinking about in the tableland.
Yeah, so at the top of that slope, there is a tableland area which the water drifts toward the top of the ravine. So we're proposing to add some drains at the top on the tableland with a very small berm around it so that it can direct all that surface water into those drains. And then we're going to directional bore a pipe from the bottom to the top to pick those up. And this would all be handwork done at the top. There would be no large equipment up there. And by collecting that tableland, drainage is going to have a big effect on all the future of what we're doing there.
Right, and then the last area we talked about addressing are the steel walls along the toe of the ravine. So Bob, if you'd like to talk about these.
Yeah, so these are like cribs, steel cribs that I think at one time were probably just backfilled with maybe some dirt. And over time, the velocity of the flow from the ravine there has actually started to carve away and wash behind it and actually wash all of the areas out behind these steel walls. So one of the things we would do is when we remove the stone pads, we would take all the remnants that we're not going to keep, and we would use them to fill in behind those steel walls.
Here, I'll mention real quick this photo, this drawing. It's kind of tough to see, but at the bottom here is the path with the boardwalk, and right up here the ravine would be here, and so the two steel walls are along here, and this is where we would backfill.
Right. And in addition to that backfilling, we would need to do some more structural ways to cut the energy down or knock the velocity down of the flow at the ends of the steel structures. So we would do that with some gabion baskets and with some large boulders to direct the water, around the front side of the steel.
All right, thank you, Bob. Before I move on to talking about the overall estimated cost of the project and the timeline and a few other features, does anyone have any other questions about those last two components addressing the steel wall or the drainage? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to go on a little bit. So that the plan there, this is our estimated opinion of probable cost for that plan we just discussed. The cost to create access and then restore construction access. Oh, sorry. The path repair boardwalk, which would include any kind of demolition and also development and construction of that boardwalk. And then the drainage improvements we discussed. And lastly, the steel wall improvements that we reviewed. With a 10% contingency, that brings us to an estimated construction cost of $364,000. Now, as far as a timeline, if the board elects to move forward with this project at this time, as I mentioned, we have received a proposal from Daniel Craney Company to bring us to the next phase, which would be construction documents, and we will talk about that proposal in just a moment. If the board is interested, the staff could come to the board as soon as the next meeting on the 25th to request approval of that proposal, which would allow us to enter into the contract with Daniel Craney Company for this next step. Over fall of this year and winter 2021, they would develop this, which would lead us to be prepared to bid out the project in spring of 2021. We would want to do construction in dry months, so that would occur in summer of 2021, with the plan to then reopen the path in the dog beach in fall of 2020. And as far as proposal for work from Daniel Craney Company for this next step, as I mentioned, it's construction documents. You can see a few components there, additional surveying, permit review and applications, the detailed design of the boardwalk, and also the final overall site improvement plan. And that's $26,500. And then we've also received a proposal for construction phase services. If we do choose to bid this out and then move forward with construction, Daniel Craney Company would provide some services and some oversight during the project. So their overall proposal costs $35,300. Now, the overall financial impact of the project. To date, this is the amount we've incurred to date, which is from the preliminary site improvement plan. Next is the construction document proposal we just discussed with the construction oversight. The estimated construction cost that we reviewed for a total estimated project cost of $421,000. Now, this project was actually budgeted in the 2020 capital plan. It was budgeted at $500,000. And like with many other projects, staff and the board had to look at those and make determinations of which projects we would need to put on hold due to the pandemic. And this was one of those. Obviously, the pandemic slowed down our ability to plan for this project as well. So if the board would like to see this project move forward and potentially open at some time, the dog park next year, staff would certainly recommend that we move forward this year with the construction documents. So that would be the $35,000 this year, and then we would budget for construction in 2021. With that said, that's all of our presentation. Are there any additional questions?
Yeah, why don't we go around in our normal rotation? We'll start with Cal Bernstein.
Yes, my question is for Bob. I know that it sounds like there's some constant erosion going on in this area. And I mean, how long would these construction documents be good for? I know that you're talking about doing like a boardwalk, but and I know that you're talking about actually doing an amended topo survey. So how would additional erosion, and if we decided to do the construction documents and then decide to shelf the project for a couple of years, would those construction documents still be relevant, let's say 2 or 3 years in the future?
Yes, I think they would.
And what's that based on?
Well, you know, the repair that we're proposing with the boardwalk, nothing else around us with the boardwalk is really affecting the construction of the boardwalk. So even if it erodes more, if the walls fall down, if the path gets broken up more, we're going to remove all of that anyway. So I don't see that it should, you know, for a couple of years. Now, 10 years maybe we'd have to look at it differently, but I think for another year or two, certainly we would be able to use those plans.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you.
All right, Terry.
I had a question about the reservoir, that the table area that you were talking about.
Yes.
So you've identified that as the sort of the collection area for all the area's water. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's kind of a narrow flat land up at the top. And it's kind of hard to tell without a topographic survey. That's why we're going to do a little bit more. But there's a pretty good area up there that's going to drain over the edge and down toward our wall or our boardwalk. And the idea is to try to catch that water for the most part, not because it's going to affect the boardwalk in any way, but the less water comes down that slope, the less erosion it will cause. And then whatever vegetation we do decide we want to grow in there will stay intact much longer.
So you're saying the way to deal with it is through vegetation and things like that. I heard something about a pipe. Is that right?
Yes, there will be a pipe to carry the water to the bottom, from the top to the bottom. But the more water we can catch at the top is less likely to erode, the side slope of the ravine.
And this
So-
pipe, the pipe would lay on top of the ground there?
No, it would be directional bored below the surface. So
So-
you wouldn't see it, and you wouldn't disturb any vegetation or trees to install it.
And that's the most cost-effective way of capturing and moving this water.
Yes.
Okay, I like very much the idea of taking the bluestone or whatever that kind of stone that is and using it for reinforcement for the steel. I mean, I think that's a creative way of using those stones. I know that those, especially when there's water on it, those stones get extremely slippery, even under the best situations, because people are, going in the water, or the dogs are going in the water and stuff, and they trail that water back up. And so they get slippery even under dry circumstances. So I really like that idea.
Okay. Yeah, and it also, this is a very difficult site. It's very difficult to have access to. It's very difficult to maneuver construction equipment around. Pretty much everything we're doing there is going to be done with smaller equipment, just because of the limitations we have on the construction access. So being able to use any materials that are there already, rather than trying to truck in stone, dumping it in the parking lot, loading it into a bucket of a bobcat or something, and driving it down the path and back up again, anything we can do to minimize that amount of work would be better. So we're probably still going to need more stone to use to repair those structures and to fill the gabion baskets that I've talked about. I don't think there's going to be enough coming from the old path and the old walls, but certainly whatever we can use is going to be helpful.
Thank you.
Terry, are you good?
I'm good.
All right, Lori,
No, good questions, Terry. Thank you.
Brian Kaplan.
Is this path used for anything more than access to and from the dog park?
So that's the purpose of the path. I mean, some people may go down and walk through the ravine, but it's a relatively short path that takes you right down to the dog park.
So we're talking.
But however, the dog park is certainly open to all residents, even if they don't have a dog, they can come down there.
But when you get to the bottom of the path, is there anything other than a dog park down there?
Nope, there's just the dog park.
We're talking about $500,000 to rebuild a path to a dog park.
Dog Beach.
Okay, that's all I had.
I have a couple, 3 or 4 questions, maybe 5, could be 10. What's happening with the City Park District Corps of Engineers project for this ravine?
Yes, so this is something we've worked with the Army Corps to look at possibly including that this component in that larger project. When we did that, we determined that in the end that it was actually best to do it separately. The proposal, the Army Corps had looked at a different approach, and actually their cost estimates, it looked like it was actually going to be a little higher. We wanted to kind of take that and work on our own directly with an engineer to come up with the best solution, and that's the route we took. As far as that larger Ravine 10 project, At this time, we're still waiting to hear from the Army Corps. I know they are wrapping up their feasibility study. If that project does move forward, it's, as the board is aware, it's going to require more financial commitment from the district, as well as the other agency, the city, and the Army Corps. And it would most certainly not reopen the path as soon as this project could.
Would the Army Corps project have any impact on any of the work, such as the reinforcement of the steel, putting in the gabion baskets, any of that? Would it be impacted at all so that we're doing work that's going to be replaced later?
Correct. Yes. No, we've certainly discussed this with the Army Corps, and if we were to move forward with the next phase, we would work with them even closer. But this is certainly something that's been discussed. It's our understanding that none of the work that we would move forward with would be undone if the Ravine 10 project were to move forward.
Okay, so now, assuming the Army Corps of Engineer project goes forward, would we be required, or would it be wise for us to close access while they're working?
You know what, it's very possible that access to that site will be closed for a portion of that project. I unfortunately don't have any information right now on how long that might be if that were to occur.
All right, but Jeff, do you recall the Army Corps project, did they ever give a snapshot timeline? Was it 3 months, 6 months?
You know, Rebecca and Dan, you're on the call as well. I don't know if either one of you recalls how long that project would potentially last. It would be relatively extensive, but
Okay.
there are some of the work I think could still occur without the path being closed.
Okay, so it just might be less nice while the
Yeah,
work
well,
is going on.
I'll look into that and get better information on that.
Okay, so so my actual more directed comments are, I don't know what the look of the revetment will be when we put in these gabion baskets. Is it going to just be a bunch of rocks? Is going to be steel sticking out? I mean, part of what we do should be the aesthetics, and I'm not so sure I understand the aesthetics of what was proposed for in the ravine stream bed. So I want us to focus on that as we do this project, if we do it.
So the gabion baskets would provide support. However, they would be surrounded by larger boulders. That would be primarily what you would see. And Bob, if you want to add to that or correct me there.
Yeah, no, that's correct.
All right, no, I can accept that. All right, so here's my bigger concern. We're talking about a possible $421,000 to provide a path for, we don't know how many people to go with their dogs to the beach that may be impacted by the work of the Army Corps of Engineers. And what I'm not seeing here is an overall plan for this park. And it bothers me because as you showed the route that the water comes cascading down, I'm looking at, that's how I got up to the top on the occasions when I've gone to this park and gone up to the tableland. And I've explored, I don't want to say I've explored it, but I've, wandered around up there, and it's part of our park. We're not using it. I would want, as part of any project, a concept of a master plan that's going to take this piece of property, which is really a nice piece of property, and make it more usable. We have a dog park, okay. We have the table, the flat area out in front off Sheridan Road, but we've got a major, for our area, mountain here that we're just not utilizing. And I think it should be incorporated into any plan that we do for any work at this park. I would want this planned out for the whole thing. It would cost us more, but in the long run, it might be the benefit to the community that would be an enhancement as opposed to just a path to the lake for the dogs. So I'm giving you my view of this project, and I'm not there yet.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
Nope, hearing none. Thank you. And, there's grist for the mill to think about, I hope.
All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
we'll
you.
Go to approval of the CARES Act reimbursement from Lake County Intergovernmental Agreement. Director Peters.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, really good evening. If you recall, Lake County had received $122 million in CARES Act money that is to be distributed to all the different governmental entities in Lake County as part of the movement to help provide some sort of financial relief that we have all experienced as far as expenses related to the COVID. So $106,000 was allocated, set aside for the Park District of Highland Park. And so what we need to do, or what we really have been doing, is accumulate all the expenses we've had for supplies and materials, as well as under the CARES Act, we do have payroll expenses that we can also ask for reimbursement. And so the first step that we have to do before we can apply for reimbursement of this $106,000 that has been allocated to us is to have an intergovernmental agreement approved by the board. And so the staff is recommending approval by the Board of Commissioners of the attached intergovernmental agreement with Lake County in order to ensure reimbursement of our COVID-19 costs under the CARES Act. Did anyone have any questions about that?
Terry?
Nope.
Cal?
No questions.
Lori?
No.
Brian Kaplan?
No questions.
And I have no questions. So, is there a motion to approve the CARES Act reimbursement from Lake County Intergovernmental Agreement?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Grossberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores Weisskopf,
Aye.
Vice President Kaplan,
Yep.
President Ruttenberg.
Yes, the motion is carried. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
COVID-19 emergency operations planning update. There's a lot here. So we'll start with an overview from Executive Director Romes.
Well, my overview is going to be very, very quick, and then I'm going to introduce, I'm going to have Director Mitch Carr give some updates. Obviously, we are still in phase 4 of the Restore Illinois plan, and as we continue to progress through the summer, we continue to adapt and make changes. And so we have a few updates, mostly regarding the Recreation Center and our lakefront. So I will turn it over to Mitch Carr to present on that.
Thank you, Brian. Good evening, everybody. We'll make these updates fairly short. Starting with the rec center, the update tonight is on the indoor pool. So the rec center indoor pool is scheduled to reopen after that the shell replacement repair. So it's scheduled to reopen on Monday, August 17th. And the purpose of reopening for right now is primarily lap swimming. So lap swimming, it will be available two time slots in the morning, 6 a.m. And 8 a.m. and one time slot in the evening at 5 p.m. That is, and that's Monday through Thursday. Friday, Saturday would just be the morning time slots of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Each time slot based off of the DCEO guidelines will allow for one swimmer per lane. So we can accommodate 6 swimmers in each time slot. Each time slot is going to be 90 minutes in length and must be reserved in advance. In that 90-minute time slot, each swimmer will have time to change, shower, use the swim lap time, as well as change and shower and leave. So in that full 90 minutes, they have to do all of that activity. We're going to carry forth that schedule through September the 13th. And then after that, there will be some adjustments based off of our Learn to Swim program starting back up, scheduled to start back up September 14th. And we do have some interest for some rentals. So most of that will be in the evening, as well as on the weekends. It'll be during the midday. So we might have to expand some of those hours based off the utilization needs. The fees that are set are for that 90-minute time slot is $5 if you're an active in good standing member at the time of COVID, $7 for residents, $9 for non-residents. And we are also starting this past Monday offering a 30-day pass for those that would like the convenience of not paying a daily fee for access. So that 30-day pass is at a rate of $50, $70, and $90. So $50 that active member, $70 for residents, $90 for non-residents. That 30-day membership is good for if you wanted to do a 30-day pass for the lap swim, or you can also do a 30-day pass for the fitness floor as well. So that's something that we newly introduced this past Monday. With regard to Rosewood, we do have and are ready to be able to announce to the public what the rest of our summer and early fall looks like at Rosewood. So typically our normal weekday schedule would end on August the 16th. So this weekend, we would typically end our daily weekday swim opportunities. After looking at our staff capabilities, we are able to extend that by 1 week. So from now until August 23rd, we can continue operating as normal. So that would include the 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. lap swimming and the 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Open recreational swimming every day. Starting on August 24th, we would have to drop down because of our staff that would be going back to school. We would have to drop the recreation and open swimming during the weekday. So on the weekday from August 24th to Labor Day, we would be doing lap swim only. So we can still do the 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. lap swim opportunities while the lake level or the lake temperature is still nice and warm. And during the weekday, we would still have a supervisor, ambassador, security guard type presence on the property. There just wouldn't be that recreational swimming during the weekday. On the weekends, we would be able to continue our 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. lap swim, as well as the open and recreational swimming from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that carries us to Labor Day. And then finally, after Labor Day through the 27th of September, we will be able to do weekend only open and recreational swimming from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will have, again, presence down there in the form of supervisors, ambassadors, security guards, just to make sure that people are, if it's a weekday and for some reason there is a public presence down there, that people are abiding by the guidelines, that we don't get overcrowding, that people stay out of the water. So this plan will get communicated out in Parkline this week. And this is all good news, extending our weekday coverage as well as extending our weekend into late September. My final update is with regard to our security guards. So the Park District did enter into a contract with Advanced Security Solutions last Thursday. Our security guards started this past Friday. They went through a kind of a 3-hour crash course training with myself and Kari. And for us right now, the good thing is that we still have quite a few ambassadors. So we're able to do a kind of a train-to-trainer type approach, pair guards up with our ambassadors, so they kind of learn all of those rules, regulations, policy, and ordinances that we need to get enforced. Over the next few weeks, we will be losing our ambassadors, not all of them, but the majority of them, as they leave for college. The remaining ambassadors that we have will continue to take the morning and early afternoon shifts, and our late afternoon and evening shifts, as well as the weekends, will be covered by our security guards. So we will always have 3 security guards each day, 3 security guards, and they will be stationed at Rosewood, Park Avenue, and there'll be one that is floating between those locations, as well as any other park that we need to call them to. They're going to be on site from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday, and then 1 to 11 on Saturday and Sunday. Lastly, we did start the citations this past weekend. So we started issuing citations for violations of ordinances with our security guards and ambassadors. This past weekend, they did issue 19 citations. All of them were for parking violations, and primarily that was located at Rosewood. So that's my update. I'm happy to take any questions on any of those topics.
Let's start with Cal.
Just curious with regard to Rosewood is if there are no lifeguards present, is it swim at your own risk, or people should be out of the water?
So we've always taken the approach of keeping people out of the water when we have the staff down there to manage that instead of the swim at your own risk.
And what's the signage for that?
So we have signage that we will put up on all of the lifeguard stands that will say no swimming, and then we'll have the staff presence as well down there.
Okay, thank you.
Terry?
Nothing.
Lori?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Brian Kaplan?
All good news, no questions. Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.
So, Mitch, I do have a few questions, sadly. What is the maximum number of people we can accommodate in the indoor pool on a given day?
So if we're just doing the lap swim, that it would be 6 person per slot. And so right now, what we're saying with those 3 slots, we're going to have 18 slots available for lap swim for the day.
Well, no, wait a minute, wait. Am I hearing you say that 18 people would be swimming on any given, that's it, on a day?
Correct. Based off, if we're doing lap swim, based off the guidelines, we can do 1 person per lane.
Okay. And how many people, is slightly a skewed question, but how many people can use the rec center fitness during the same period of time?
I believe the way we set it up is that we could do approximately 70 to 75 based off of the guidelines that were provided.
Okay, so we'll just call that 90 people a day, plus or minus.
I'm sorry, Barney. That's per. So yeah, at one time in the fitness center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can have
we
well
can
in excess of a couple hundred people using the facility in a day.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I wanted to understand there. And then the other question was, do other communities allow swim at your own risk when there's no lifeguards? What is the standard, and what does Paderma say about that?
So yes, other communities have done a swim at your own risk. I don't think Paderma necessarily has a stance. It's more about the signage. You know, so you as a community can place a no swimming and enforce the no swimming, or you can state that your beach area is open with no lifeguards and that you're able to swim at your own risk. So it's really kind of up to our discretion. Paderma would just say that you have to have the appropriate signage and notification.
All right, well, that's something we should probably review if the weather stays hot, because what we're doing here is we're really providing a service to the community by having the extended days, keeping it open, keeping like the pool open, keeping the rec center open. And there aren't a lot of other facilities. So we may want to consider swim at your own risk toward the latter part of the September when we don't have the lifeguards available. My last question is where do the funds that are collected on the citations go? To us or to the city?
right now, those are, we're processing everything. So they would, the citation would come to us.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Director Peters to present the review of vouchers.
Okay, yes. In your packet, you have a total of vouchers of $487,933. And I think they were pretty straightforward, but does anyone have any questions on those?
Well, I have one question.
Okay.
There was an expenditure of approximately $9,000 for sanitizer, hand sanitizers.
Yes.
Is that something that we can seek reimbursement under the CARES Act reimbursement policy?
It absolutely is, and we actually already have it compiled in our listing that we'll be remitting for reimbursement.
Thank you. No other questions.
Okay, thank you.
And I see that we are, I don't see a reason to have a closed session unless any of the commissioners desire one. Hearing no rush to the door, we'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the meeting stands adjourned at 7:12 p.m.
Stay healthy, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.